What's happening, everybody? Trey here, joined today by my dad, Sean, and we got a nice full album reaction for y'all today, courtesy of our patron supporter, Javier, aka Dropkick Chester. Really appreciate your support, Javier.
Yeah, thank you, brother.
You know, just great to interact with you on the live streams.
Yes.
And with this, I'm excited to listen to this. We got the Soft Bulletin by the Flaming Lips today, a 90s record. I'm wanting to get more 90s stuff up on the channel, so looking forward to diving into this. I don't know any of these tracks.
I don't know any of them either, Trey. None of them at all.
So that is a fun part of these reactions, man. We can see our first time viewpoint of them. We might not pick up every detail of the song due to it being the first time we listen to it, but we got the lyrics pulled up here. We'll follow along with that. And due to copyright purposes, won't include all the music for the record, but if you guys want to check below, I'm going to have a link to account on another site, and you can check out the full unedited reaction, and that's what we're sending Javier. So all that to say, we'll get into a little bit of the quick facts, and we'll just get rocking.
That's their ninth studio album, released in the summer of 1999. Pitchfork magazine ranked it number 3 on the best albums of the 1990s and gave it a perfect score of 10. The cover photo was from a 1966 Life magazine article on LSD use, and they kind of modified that up a little bit. Critically acclaimed, noted for its fusion of instruments, electronic beats, synthesizers. A few critics called it the pet sounds of the 1990s, which piqued my interest. There was a tough time in the band's lives whenever this album was done. Wayne Coyne was dealing with his father dying of cancer. Stephen Droz got a spider bite that nearly had his arm amputated. Later on, he was honest about it. It was from a heroin injection, so we're going to get to that later on. And bassist Michael Ivins nearly died in a car accident. The latter two incidents are in the spider bite song. Their relationship with Warner Brothers is being tested because their last album before this was incredibly expensive to produce, and Warner only agreed to make this album if they had the same budget as their previous album, and they let the label control the track listing. Which brings me to my last little point. There's a US version and a UK version. The US version includes a Spiderbite song. The UK doesn't. The UK version has slow motion. The US doesn't. We're going to use the US version because that's kind of considered the version. So that's what we're using here. So we're going to have Spiderbite. We're not going to have slow motion. And all that to say, Trey, let's get into Race for the Prize. It's released as the first single, reached number 39 in the UK. There's not many lyrics to this. I did dive into the lyrics to all the songs, but I did not listen to them. So let's see what we got, man.
Right.
Well, my research told me that they were before a very guitar-laden alternative rock band. I'm sure I've probably heard a song from the Flaming Lips, but not that I can recall. So I would imagine if you're a diehard fan and you pop this in 1999 into the CD player, your mind was probably pretty blown by that song, Race for the Prize.
Yeah.
Everything I read talked about intricately arranged and layered songs, and that's, you mentioned it during the song. Very produced sound, not a bad sound. I don't mean that in a bad way, but you can tell it was done in a professional manner. I also found it interesting. I know that Javier is a huge Oklahoma City Thunder NBA fan.
That's right.
And they're from Oklahoma City, and they redid this song in 2012 to become the fight song for the Oklahoma City Thunder, called Race for the Prize, Thunder Up. So I thought that was a nice little touch since Javier loves the Thunder, but I thought it was a good way to start it. Nice, I don't want to say it was chilled necessarily. It's pretty chilled, but it still has, the instrumentation brings it up to a level where it's not just...
He's got a soothing
Yes.
voice, but yeah, there was that... I don't know what that particular instrument was in the background.
I don't either. I was trying to figure that out as well.
Almost like a mellotron in some sense.
Yes, I couldn't figure it out either.
I thought that was a nice way to break the song up a little, add a little flair to it. I like the basement type of feel, as I mentioned during the song, of the drums in there. All in all, pretty good way to start the tune, and it seems like these two scientists, it says, racing for the cure of all mankind, mentions their determination, maybe, and what they're doing is so dangerous, but they're determined to get it done. So who knows? I mean, it could be Could be, you know, nuclear warfare. Could be some race for the cure in another sense.
Some sickness.
Yeah, medical wise, who knows? And he mentions here that the scientists themselves, they're just humans at the end of the day, with their own fallibility and issues to run into. So that was good. I am going to add that. I forgot to add that here. So we will get that rocking there. Sweet. So let's move on now to song number 2.
A spoonful weighs a ton. The title was based on the concept of density in certain celestial bodies, such as neutron stars, being so compact that a minuscule amount of mass would weigh hundreds of thousands of pounds. A spoonful of a neutron star could be reasonably estimated to weigh about 10 billion tons. Now, Trey, I probably didn't have to tell you that because you probably knew that off the top of the dome. But for those of our viewers and myself that don't know that, so that's what the title of the song is referring to.
I like that, man. I like that. Let's get rocking.
Very interesting song.
Yeah, at the start, like you said,
it's totally chill, man. Sounded like I said, like a Disney movie. And
I thought that was
like the sound of his voice. I think he sounds really good, without a lot of studio tricks in there.
And then the shift in there with that heavy reverb and the bass dropping and just everything. That was definitely unexpected, as you noted, and they kept it musically diverse and interesting, which is something I enjoyed. And the lyrics, from the first 2 songs, seem to be more rooted in, I don't know, philosophical is the right word.
No, that's somewhere in that neighborhood. I think that's a pretty decent.
I think it gives a lot of leeway for the listener to maybe read into it and kind of put their own meaning in a certain sense in here. I do like the phrase, a spoonful weighs a ton. It's
only in there once too. It's like the 4th line in here. So.
Exactly. I think they're 2 for 2. We move next to the spark that bled, in parentheses, the softest bullet ever shot. See, another phrase that just is a little bit paradoxical.
Yeah, and my research tells me it's not only lyrically but musically similar to Peter and the Wolf. So I'm kind of curious what we got here. It's over 6 minutes long, so it's the longest one on here. The spark that led to is taken from the phrase they use when they come up with an invention. Mm-hmm. This was the spark that led to, so I don't remember what I thought the lyrics were about. I didn't say what I thought they were about, so maybe I had no idea, but we are going to come up to a song after this, the SPIDERBITE song that I do know what that one's about, so.
Sweet, man.
So 6 minutes, let's pop this thing, man. I just had to look at it because I'm like, is it almost over? Because that was a fast 6 minutes.
I was just about to say
that. And we both know that sometimes 5 minutes seems like 15 minutes in a song, or longer sometimes. Yeah, it just depends. So that's the best compliment I can pay that song, is it didn't seem like 6 minutes. It was. I wanted them to go all in. In these first 3 songs, I feel like it's building up, but they're probably not going to, since I know the research behind this. But that song was really good, man. I mean, it didn't leave you bored, that's for sure.
No, and I think that's one of the reasons, all the different instruments that were employed and tempo shifts.
Yeah, exactly.
It made those 6 minutes really fly by. And again, I feel like we got almost like a science theme going in here.
Yeah, we definitely do. That was kind of what I took out of it.
Or explosions type of stuff. It seemed to cause a chain reaction. It is interesting in this first verse, I accidentally touched my head and noticed that I had been bleeding. For how long, I didn't know. That's the refrain we get in the outro.
Yes.
What struck him? What kind of weapons have they got? The softest bullet ever shot, which comes into the almost like awaken him once he figures out that he's been hit. Essentially, he gets up, he gets rocking. Something or some entity relieves these people of the struggle that they're going through, and in the end, though, there is no full-on reaction, and that's where the music kind of itself fades away. So I thought that was nicely done, man. That was I think, the most impressive tune musically I've heard thus far on this record.
Now we're going to go to the SPIDERBITE song, which Wayne wrote it because of 2 incidents, not just Steven's SPIDERBITE, but also Michael's car accident where he was driving and a tire from another car flew through his windshield and almost killed him. Steven's situation was, he told him it was because of a spider bite. He said he had an abscess on his hand that swelled up to the size of a tennis ball. He could have lost his hand. So Wayne writes this song. So then, we've all told a little fib, and then, somebody does something, and all of a sudden it takes this grander thing. So then it's hard to go back and go, whoa.
Well, actually, what happened was.
So 3 years later, in 2002, he said it was from a needle injection of heroin, and that kind of went bad. So he waited 3 years, because, it's one thing to have it happen, Trey, another thing for a dude to write a song and kind of immortalize it. So that's what the SPIDERBITE song is about.
All right, well, I'm curious what we got here.
I like the last two lines. Love is the greatest thing a heart can know, but the hole that it leaves in its absence can make you feel so low. Mm-hmm. That was good, man. First he addressed Stephen in that first verse, and then got a little chorus. Then he addresses Michael, and then we get the chorus again. Just kind of that was a really good song. I thought it might be more upbeat. I didn't know, being the subject matter, that both of them could have had catastrophic end.
I'm gonna have to add that to the playlist as well. I'm with you. I definitely enjoyed it. And bringing the real life situations more personal.
Yeah, much more personal than the first three songs, which are somewhat abstract.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I thought the chorus was great. The melody was very pleasant sounding. And
I think they did a good job of the instrumentation building the drama at the end of each line, especially in the first verse.
Yeah, I do.
Like what's going to happen? Boom, there's a different instrumentation at the end of each line. He pauses. So that was good.
That's a great point. This is arranged very, very well.
Yeah, they didn't haphazardly go in there. They had a plan, man.
It seems like every instrument is put at just the right second, and we had some almost industrial type sounds in there too. So very, very cool tune. What do we got next?
We got Buggin'.
Buggin'. All right, man. You be bugging on me.
And I didn't put anything for the lyrics, so I guess I couldn't figure out what it was about. So let's find out. Sure. Yeah, which made me think we might have effects throughout, but we didn't. You kind of see with the lyrics, Trey, what I'm talking about. Maybe it's a masked inference. It's summer love. I don't know.
That could be it, because they mentioned that the bugs buzzing around your head. Bugs probably a metaphor for.
The love bug?
Yeah, the love bug, Summer love. Yeah, I can definitely see that with the lyrics going in.
I'm going out on a limb here. I think the harmonies, they had some harmonies quick on there. That was what kind of,
at the end there.
That stood out to me.
And I like I like the effects. I thought the melody again. This was, I'd say, the most upbeat tune.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to dislike any of these tunes just because I like the sound of this.
Yeah, exactly. So again, very tight instrumentally, and a little lighter on the subject matter than some of the headiness of the first tune. So.
Now we're going to get in, Trey, to the longest titled tune that I've ever seen in my life. What is the light? ? But then in parentheses, and forgive me, but I'm going to have to read this. An untested hypothesis suggesting that the chemical bracketed in our brains by which we are able to experience the sensation of being in love is the same chemical that caused the Big Bang that was the birth of the accelerating universe, closed quote. Yeah. Probably about love or maybe attraction here, but that one doesn't exactly roll off the tongue.
I'm going to say that is I think the longest title.
Yeah, so what is the light is what we'll kind of refer to it from here on in. But
all right, man, let's get rocking.
Yeah, I think the heartbeat was a very good observation. Definitely, I'm sure parts of it were drums. Sounds like a drum machine to me throughout much more. I think the drums were the star of it because it was the underlying thing throughout the entire song.
Yeah, it was the foundation. And, and going in now, the brackets make a little more sense. It's
another scientific kind of approach to things.
No, absolutely, because it goes into the some people say, oh, people really fall in love, or do they just like the chemical reaction that happens in the brain? So that's what he mentions here at the start. But
and then looking into space, it's around you.
Yeah,
love is the place that you're drawn to. Then they repeat it again. Love is the face that you're drawn to.
Yeah, because they draw the parallel between just the love that's around you, but then it also parallels like the sun, which also is another result of chemical reactions happening, but yet again, we can actually physically see the light all around us.
Exactly.
So I thought that was an interesting way to frame up the tune, and I was actually able to track with it on some of the bigger idea scale here. I dug that one, man, and I thought instrumentally it was tight.
Yeah, I did too. And the next one, speaking of instrumental, I don't have any lyrical breakdown because there are no lyrics there. They close out the first half of the album with The Observer, which is just an instrumental. So I'm curious, because so much of the album's been obviously instrumentally focused in the fact that it's such a tight and layered arrangement. I wonder what they do for an actual instrumental song. Are we going to pull out all the stops here? So it's interesting to throw an instrumental in, right? I always got to give props to groups that will do that. There's a few reasons why you throw instrumentals in. Sometimes it's because you don't have enough for the record and you throw that in there to make it longer. They didn't do it in this case because this thing's 50 minutes long or in that neighborhood. So I couldn't really find a reason why. I was looking for interviews or anything like that to see why they did it. But interesting. I mean, it's fine. It's an instrumental. I mean, I didn't dislike it. I didn't love it. It just is what it is, man.
No, man. It was nice and like you said, it was nice and tight. That drum machine connection from the previous tune was pretty cool.
That brings us to Waiting for a Superman. It was the second single released, went to number 73 in the UK. Let's rock this thing and figure it out together. All right, now I have thoughts about what it's about, but what do you think?
Yeah, this was one of my favorites on the record thus far.
Yeah.
I think that, it's talking about, obviously, you are looking for a Superman. What do you think? Superman can do anything. He can lift up the sun into the sky. He can take your problems away.
Yeah.
He tells the people that are waiting for a Superman, just try to hold on the best that you can.
They're carrying burdens and problems. I like is it overwhelming to use a crane to crush a fly? I think that's a great line.
I do as well. And so, he mentions that Superman hasn't forgot him or anything. It's just too heavy. This issue is too heavy for Superman himself to lift. So I thought
it's not reassuring for
lyrics.
you if you're the one there. Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. I actually thought it was fantastic, man. That brings us to Suddenly Everything Has Changed, and then in parentheses, death anxiety caused by moments of boredom. This, I think, is about life going very, very fast while you're over here doing mundane tasks, right? Because how many of us want to do, you have something you want to do, Trey, that's important to you, but you're like, I got this other stuff to do first.
Yeah.
So you get all this other stuff done, and then you run out of day, right? And so you don't get to do this thing you really want to do. And then we just rinse and repeat every day. That happens to me in my life, and you wake up a few years later going, man, I never did this or this.
Exactly.
Or as a father, your kid was 5, and now all of a sudden they're 10. Now all of a sudden they're going into high school, and you're like, whoa, wait a minute, man. What happened to all this time? So that's kind of what I took out of these lyrics. So we'll see if I'm correct. So I thought they did a masterful job on that. As far as we're reading the lyrics as it's going, the lyrics are very simple, but they built the drama of the song through the tempo changes, the instrumentation, the different vocal effects. That was really good. It built the drama of the song, got across the message without having to have, long drawn out lyrics.
No, I totally agree, and you can put yourself in that situation here.
Big time.
You fold and close, you hesitate, and it goes fast, and you just start thinking of the past, flashes before you, and I see here the Postal Service has a cover of this, which I'd be interested to hear.
I would too.
Death Cab for Cuties, a front man, heads up that group as well. So big time, man. Enjoyed that one. I had to add it to the old playlist.
Yeah, that one's a good one. Now we're going to go to the GASH, Battle Hymn for the Mathematician. I think it's about fighting battles in life that we all have to fight and kind of soldiering on. So, and finding a reason not to give up. So we'll see if I interpreted those lyrics correctly as I listen to the actual tune.
Yeah, I definitely think, from this first verse, he's got a gash in his leg.
Yeah.
He asks this person, is that gash in your leg really why you've stopped? All these other people with gashes are able to keep on soldiering on. Big existential type questions here. Will the fight for our sanity be the fight of our lives? And I just think here it has the message, you're going to rage on till the very end. And understanding that you're broken, still the last volunteer, battles on, battles on, battles on. I enjoyed the lyrics on this one.
I like the lyrics. I thought the mixing was interesting. I thought on the last verse, if you didn't have the lyrics in front of you, you might have a little bit hard time understanding what was being said because it was kind of muddied up.
Verse was like that
That
too.
as well, yeah, I noticed that. So I thought it was interesting they did that. That brings us to Feeling Yourself Disintegrate. And I see a pattern here of these last 3 songs. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but we had Suddenly Everything Has Changed, where we're doing the mundane tasks of life. And we realize that life is going quick. Then we have the gash, and we got to battle through things. And now we have Feeling Yourself Disintegrate, which hardly has any words at all. But what it is obviously, Trey, every second we've sat here for this review, we are disintegrating. So you got to live life to the fullest because you're 1 second closer to dying. So I think those three things, first you realize, time's passing me by. Then you have to sit here and fight these battles. Now you've got to live life to the fullest. Maybe that wasn't intentional, but that's kind of what I took out of these.
I think that's a good little connection. There is, it almost seems like a loose concept.
Yes.
I don't know if you'd call it a concept album per se, but there definitely is some similar themes and threads that run through this entire record. That last, you can faintly hear it say disintegrate again, as it almost itself disintegrated.
Yeah, and I think, I'll just read the lyrics because there's only love in our life is just too valuable. Oh, to feel even for a second without it, which ties back to an earlier song, but life without death is just impossible. Oh, to realize something is ending within us, and then Feeling Yourself Disintegrate. 8 times they spaced it out over the length of that song. Once again, I don't want to beat a drum here, but very Floyd-ish sounding.
I think so.
There were bands before Floyd that let songs breathe. Yes, Closer to the Edge was a couple years before Dark Side, but this type of style. But a very interesting way, as you said, to basically end the record, because the next tune is instrumental, and then depending on what mix you're using, they have 2 remixes, Race for the Prize and Waiting for a Superman, to end out the US CD that we're not going to cover. We're going to finish out with Sleeping on the Roof. Instrumental, but how do you interpret ending this way?
I think that we, from our opening tune for Race for the Prize, which could be interpreted nuclear war type of thing, and as we just went through a lot of the songs on the record, we had just a bunch of existential questions about life that made you think about love, about what makes life worth living, and ultimately here you feel yourself disintegrate, but are you going to just wallow in that, or are you going to go out, you're going to see, or going back to another song, you're going to feel the light around you, and the love, because
either way you're disintegrating. So what you choose to do with it, it is the only thing that really matters.
And I think that's one of the big themes they probably want the listener to take, or that's at least what we're taking from it, man. So, and we end with Sleeping on the Roof. So just an instrumental here, kind of I guess a coda of sorts, 3 minutes. So we'll finish with that, and then we'll get into our favorite tunes and finish her out.
A little bit of difference there, not a lot of differentiation throughout that song. It's one of those deals where I'd love to ask him, okay, so why did you end it with this? There's got to be a reason, but I do think you hit on it earlier. A little bit of a themed album. The first part of it's definitely more scientific, and I took a little different stuff out of the last 3 non-instrumental songs, but I think it's definitely meant to be listened to in one sitting. That's the first thing I took out of this first agree. Listen.
I would definitely
It's an experience that you must do all at once. I think probably a headphone experience, which obviously we can't do in this type of format, but would blend well to this.
Oh, definitely, because that's one of the things I was most impressed with on the record, is just the production value. The mixing was just top notch. The layering,
very much,
of all the instruments on top of each other was just expertly done. I was highly impressed with that production, and the drumming, what I think was kind of underrated, and the guitar work. I was impressed. My favorite tunes, what do we add here? Race for the Prize. The SPIDERBITE song for me, Waiting for a Superman, Suddenly Everything Has Changed, and Feeling Yourself Disintegrate. So there was
I'll go with you on that one. And Spoonful Weighs a Ton, I was also enjoying. So those are, and that's on first listen, man. So I imagine on repeat listens.
Oh, definitely. So Javier, man, appreciate you suggesting us the Flaming Lips.
Yeah.
That is a record that I think will continue to sound fresh and almost timeless.
Yes.
It's over 20 years old now as we sit in 2020, but it sounds like it could have come out yesterday.
I agree 100%. It's a great observation.
So, yeah, man, thank you again, Javier.
Yeah, thank you, brother.
Let us know what you think of the Flaming Lips record, the Soft Bulletin, and your favorite tunes to them. And as I said earlier, we upload multiple times a week in a variety of genres, do reactions like this, reviews, live streams. So if you enjoy that, be sure to hit that big red subscribe button. You can also check out our Patreon page, and you too can have us review any record you want. If you want to support us in that regard, we definitely do appreciate it. And until next time, happy listening, my friends. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see ya.